Welcome to Coffee Chat. I am today's host, Rrain, and with me is someone who's probably very familiar to our audiences by this point, Marilyn Crewe, Economic Development Officer with the town of Neepawa. And today we are talking about the results of a study we talked about a few months ago that was going on, which is I want to get the title exactly correct, the Business Retention and Expansion?
Business Retention and Expansion Survey.
Business Retention and Expansion Survey. That is the official title of this. We have the results of this survey. They are, I think, really interesting and really positive for the community. So we're very happy to have you here today to talk about this.
Thanks for having me, Rrain. We talked about this before when we were talking about promoting the businesses, responding to the survey, and hinted that we could come back and do a review of the results.
Here we are.
With
so let's just review a little bit about how what the survey is of, who it went to, who we heard from.
Right. So Business Retention and Expansion Survey is a tool of economic development. And basically what it does, it's a series of questions given to local businesses. And then it's a compilation of the answers to see confidence in local business and opportunities that may be available for local businesses. And then that provides me with some guideposts for the work that I do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so did we see like a really good response to this? Is that sort of...
Yes. So business retention and expansion surveys can be done different ways. For Neepawa, because this was the first one, I hired Deloitte to do the review. They had 79 business responses, which they say is a 20% response rate. And that provides them with a high level of
confidence.
Confidence, that's the word. Yeah. High level of confidence in the responses that were given.
Because while 20% might not sound like a large number, it is, I think, way more than normally you would get for something like this.
Yes, a typical survey, they're happy to get between 1% and 5% response rate. So I really appreciate the businesses taking the time to respond either. So it was random selection of businesses. I gave them a whole business list. They randomly selected. Some businesses were provided with a link to a email survey, and others received a phone call and completed the survey over the phone with someone from Deloitte. So in that, 79 businesses responded. So then what I get from Deloitte is this report, but also I receive an Excel spreadsheet of every answer from every business, just as raw data.
And that is just for you?
That is not public information. And even then, businesses had the opportunity to opt out of being identified alongside their answers. So there may be some responses that I got that I'm not sure who that business was.
Right.
But for the majority included their name with the responses so that I can get back to them based on what they've said.
Yeah, exactly. You can contact specific businesses about specific responses. But what we have here in the report is basically the aggregate data that came from these collective responses. So let's kind of jump in and see what did we learn?
Okay, so let's start with the basics. So this report was compiled by Deloitte, and it is based on the responses and then also extrapolations from those responses. So, but we will start with the beginning. So the whole point of this was to engage with businesses and see how they're doing and how Neepawa is doing as a whole. So we're asking for their perceptions, their business successes, and also where they see opportunities for us to do better.
Right.
And what that does is just helps me to see where businesses are at and things that I can do in the community as an economic development officer.
Yeah.
Yes. So we'll start with the very first part of it. So they were asked whether you own or rent your property.
Correct.
It was a simple one to start. So 71% of Neepawa's businesses own their own property. So then for the ones that said they rent, they said, okay, so what is the term of your lease? Are you month to month, which is maybe a little higher risk way to be in a building situation for a business? Or do you have like longer, like do you have a 5-year lease, which maybe would appear a little more secure? And then for those that rent, they also asked when their lease was about to expire. So I now have a list of businesses, which is 10% of the respondents, their lease comes up in less than a year. So that gives me the chance, depending on the business, if I know they've been there a long time, I'm probably not going to reach out to them. They're probably pretty secure. But for any business that is nearing the end of the lease, I can check with them and make sure they have some place to be when that lease expires. Yeah. Because we don't want to lose anyone, right?
And I know, like, as far as rental housing goes in Nipawin, we're really lacking in that. Are we seeing the same thing in commercial properties? Is there commercial properties for rent in the community?
It would seem like we're okay. Yeah. But that means that probably most of our rental space is filled. Although now with Kerr Block finishing up, we have new rental space available. Yeah. And I do know of a couple of opportunities for available rental space for commercial, but this does give me a sense of where we're at.
That just kind of occurs to me, just because you see maybe in a larger city, a lot of small businesses or even mid-sized businesses are renting their space.
Yes.
Whereas we have a higher level of ownership.
That's right.
But anyone new coming in is probably going to be moving into possibly a rental space before they do that. So
right, and that's part of the discussion that I have with the business who comes to me and says they want to locate in Nipawin, and what are my options? Yeah. And so knowing where things are at just gives me a little bit of a touch point for that. Yes. So that's in general where the businesses are located in their building. But then we also asked about ownership. So are you locally owned or are you externally owned? 81% of our businesses are locally owned.
Wow.
Which is...
That seems like a huge number.
Yes. Yeah. It's a very strong... It shows very strong business success for our local business owners, which shows that people are shopping local. Yeah. That's what I think. And so, those locally owned and operated businesses, high number for Nipawin.
That's excellent.
Yes.
That seems like just a really positive indicator of our community.
And then part of this too was whether these businesses were home-based. Mm-hmm. And so only 3% of the businesses that responded to this survey are home-based. And 100% of those were registered with the provincial government, which is always a touch point for me when I talk to new businesses. Make sure you've registered and have a business number so you can file your taxes. Yeah. So that was good. Yeah. And then the other base information that we received was about the number of employees that my businesses have. Okay. So the majority of businesses have between 2 and 20 employees, which is probably what you'd expect from a smaller community like Nipawin. That that's kind of where the businesses here are at. Yeah.
There's probably like a couple of really high-end ones, and then most of it is
exactly.
You have like a high life at one end, and then
exactly 50%. No, sorry, 4% have 50 or more. 4% of the respondents have 50 or more employees. So that's a very small. And sole proprietors, that's like 11% is full-time sole proprietor. Yeah. So
that sounds
this makes
like
sense
a reasonable
to me.
spread.
Yes, absolutely. But it shows too that those small to medium businesses, they're big. When you put them all together, that's a big employment number for us. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I will say that you can find this survey on my website, choosenipawin.ca. reports, and it's right there at the top, 2025 BRNE. So I mean, I'm looking down at my sheets here, but
it's a lot of data.
All of this information is available. Anyone can take a look at it, and
this is a public document.
It's a public document. Yeah. So then let's go moving on.
Okay.
Business performance. So the business were asked over the past 12 months, what did the total number of employees in your company decrease, remain the same, or increase? So we're just finding out, is there employment numbers that we just talked about, are those stable? So 65% said in the past 12 months their employment rate has stayed the same. So I think that's pretty positive news. 27% actually increased their employees.
That seems like a big number.
It does.
For increasing, yeah.
It does,
Okay.
especially when you talk to employers and the struggles they sometimes have for skilled. So there are businesses who are finding staff, but the skilled workers is a discussion for another time. Right?
Yeah, that's a whole other topic I want to bring up with you. But
however, the other side of that, so that's the past 12 months, and then were asked to predict in the next 12 months, and this was even more positive. So 66% expect their numbers to stay the same. 27% expect them to increase.
Wow.
So that's a positive attitude towards the needs of the businesses locally.
Yeah.
Because if they're not busy, then maybe they're thinking about laying staff off, and that's not the
and
case.
we are remaining busy. And this is, I want to add, this is a survey that was just done this summer.
Yeah, this
in the current economic climate is when this was done.
Right. Yeah, in the midst of tariff discussion.
Exactly. We're still feeling very positively about business in this community.
Yeah. So the survey was done the end of May and early June of 2025. So then they asked similar questions, but not about employees, but about revenue. Mm-hmm. So what have you seen what change has happened in your revenue in the past 12 months? 49% said the revenue stayed the same, which is also good news in, as you say, interesting business climate.
Yes.
But 34% said their revenue increased in the past 12 months.
I feel like that is huge too.
I was really happy to see that number because, when you're listening to the news, you wonder how are our businesses doing.
Right.
And so this is good. But then they also asked that same question. So that's the past 12 months. Then what do you expect for the next year? 54% expect their revenue to increase in the next year. So that's a very positive attitude towards business locally. And
business owners tend to be very pragmatic about those things. So
if
they're saying this, they have reason to believe this is going to happen.
Right. And 41% said, no, well, we're at least going to hold our own, which means only 5% think their income is going to decrease in the next 12 months, which I think is...
I mean, you have to expect some, and that seems like a very small number.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's
as
good.
As far as these things go anyway.
So then what Deloitte does is I kind of put this all together into a summary, and they said, so we have a net positive attitude about doing business in Nipoa of plus 29%. So that is the 37% that are over the top minus the 8% that are negative.
Right.
Gives us a net positive of 29% doing business in Nipoa.
So what does that mean for us in Nipoa?
So that means that the businesses are feeling, like we've mentioned all along, they have a positive attitude in general towards doing business here. They're happy here.
Yeah. And maybe they're telling other people they're happy here.
Well, we'll get to that.
All right.
Yes. Yes. Look at
I'm
you.
getting ahead of you there. Okay.
Yes. But that's about, how they feel about the past year doing business.
So they don't want to go anywhere.
29% are more positive than negative.
Yeah.
So,
which is
another
huge number.
Yes. That's the kind of thing that that's part of the story that I can tell.
Yeah.
So businesses that are looking to come here, I can say that there is a positive attitude towards doing business.
People here are positive, do well and stay.
Right. Absolutely. So then, what Deloitte does, they take these employment and the revenue and the trends, and they put it all together into a business performance score. And so so we want to at least be stable.
Right.
But the score, you can go to the negative 10 or to the positive 10. And Nipoa scored a positive 5.4.
Okay.
So that's like well above being stable.
Yeah.
Which is another story that I can tell then. That this is, in analysis, Nipoa is a good place to do business. Just from what the businesses are telling us about how their business is doing.
We know this internally living here. now we have data to say this is what is actually happening.
Right. Yeah, it's not
Across
just Marilyn talking.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
It's all the businesses.
It's not just
talking.
hype. This is actual data we've collected.
Plus hype. Yes.
Plus hype. Yeah.
Yes. So that's around business performance.
Yeah.
Then they talk about the promoter score. So this is about how businesses talk about doing business in Nipoa.
This is what I was trying to jump in on. Yeah.
You hinted at this. So the question was, I would recommend Nipoa to another business looking to expand or relocate. So 42% said they somewhat agree to that statement, and 52% strongly agree. So then they put this together into a promoter score, which says, well, with the math, 94% of the businesses are talking positively about Nipoa to other businesses who may come here.
And even without interpretation, that is a huge number.
It's yeah, I was blown away.
If I get 94 in a test, I'm ecstatic.
Yes.
So
right. Anybody wants a 94. Well, almost anybody wants a 94. So so that is when I was talking to Deloitte when we were reviewing this, they said this is so positive for Nipoa to know that this high a number of businesses are talking positively about being here to other businesses.
Right.
Yes. So that's like a whole network that, I mean, it would be impossible for me to have that network. But when you think about the network of every business in town, and 94% of them are saying, Nipoa is a great place to do business. Yeah. You should consider coming to Nipoa. That's, I can't buy that kind of promotion.
Absolutely.
So then they also put this information into a graph, which, I mean, neutral to more positive to more negative. And so we scored a 46% more positive proponents for our community than negative. So just a different way of talking about the number. Yes.
This is very exciting.
It is. Yeah. It is. I didn't know what was going to happen, Rrain.
Well, you kind of don't when you put it out there, do you?
You don't. People can say whatever they got going on,
and they could be completely anonymous on this if they wanted to be.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. So then the next set of questions were around performance indicators and then satisfaction with those indicators.
Okay, you might have to explain this one to me.
Right. So we know that 94% of businesses are strong proponents of doing business here.
Right.
But then this area breaks it down. So what are you happy with? Are you happy with the Wi-Fi? Are you happy with, getting permits? Are you happy with daycare?
So this is where we get to know what we're good at.
This is where we get to know the details. So there's the whole list is in the report. I'm not going to read every one of them, but
it seems like it's a long list from what I can see here.
I'm going to show some of the ones that we scored very high, and then some of the things that were maybe at the bottom of the list, just to be fair.
Yeah, that's
so. But I will say that all but 3 of the factors we scored higher than 50% satisfaction. So that was really Deloitte said this was really showed strength for Nipoa.
Good.
So. Highest scores around internet, broadband. Okay. Also at 88%, business-friendly policies and regulations. So that's nice to hear. Council was happy
and that
to
is
hear
something
that.
Entirely within our control. So that is,
for sure. Businesses see high satisfaction in opportunities to expand to new markets from Nipoa. The marketing efforts to promote Nipoa was at 80% satisfaction.
Excellent.
So that's really good. Ability to source products and services for your business locally. So the ability to get what they need locally just to run their business. So that's good. So there's 2 parts. Quality of the local products and services to meet your business needs and the ability to get them is 2 separate ones. Development and building permit process, 78% satisfaction rate. So also with the planning department. So that's good
and
to
that's
hear.
An area, if they have complaints, you're going to hear about it.
Yes.
So
it's true. And then if we go down to the very bottom.
Yeah. And then what are those 3
where there is dissatisfaction?
Yeah.
Anyway, you'll see it. It's things we're already working on.
Okay.
Availability of adequate housing.
We know.
Check.
Yeah.
Availability of childcare. We
Yep,
know. Availability of post-secondary programming that aligns with business needs. We're working on that.
These are literally 3 things that we have active projects working on right now.
Yes. And then by the time you get to the 4th from the bottom, availability of skilled labor, it's over 50% satisfaction anyway, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to work on it.
Right.
So it just gives us a really good idea of how we're doing in very specific categories.
Right.
Which gives us even more information when we flip to the next page. So then what Deloitte does with this information is they look at all of those categories of satisfaction and prioritize them. So which ones, if you affected them, could have the biggest difference in your community?
Okay.
So now there's a whole chart
that
says the priority matrix. So it rates these in the ones that will have the biggest impact, basically.
Okay, so you can learn where to put your resources.
So they So they have a whole
there's a whole formula they use here to figure this out, right?
Algorithm that they use.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, their priority ranking is number 1, availability of adequate housing.
Okay.
Number 2, availability of childcare.
Yeah.
Number 3, post-secondary programming. Number 4, availability of health and medical services.
Obviously that is coming.
Number 5, availability of property for purchase or lease.
Okay.
So that's the top 5 priorities.
Right.
And then, which is really, I mean, we understand the importance of these 5. If I just take the top 5 to make sure that, we're hitting all those things that will have the biggest impact on our community.
Yeah.
So then for me, when I presented this to council, they know that they're actually working on those right things too for the business community.
Yeah.
So we think we're doing, we talk about, our population growth, our residents, but the businesses are asking for the same things too. It's just verification that we're
there were no surprises here.
No, there was not. But it also shows that we're putting our energies in the right places.
Yeah. And if we take these one by one, like we're talking about housing, we've got Project 320 going on right now, which is both housing and some business and industrial space as well. As in future. We talk about childcare. We've got some, I think, still attached to the new school that's coming.
Yes, that's the government has that as a priority. That when a new school is built, a daycare is attached.
Right, and I don't know if there's any other in the works right now. That's the one that came to mind right away.
Right.
But there's
and then the post-secondary. We have
we have the new training center.
The LPN program is done in their leased space the end of this month, and I'm working on more.
Okay, and again, that space is now available. I guess the LPN is coming in another year from now.
So
it's coming
January
back.
of 2027, we have another LPN program.
And then the space is available for other programs in between. Like that is our post-secondary space in the community dedicated to post-secondary.
Absolutely.
And flexible to different programs that people need.
So the businesses come to me and say, you know what, we need HR programming, or we need administration, or whatever that is, then we're lucky to have that space to be able to host programming here. So there's this whole priority chart gives us a checklist of all of those different satisfaction touch points that were asked of business. So just gives me my to-do list, Rrain.
Right. As if you didn't have a long enough one already.
Well, some of them were already there, fortunately.
That's true.
Yes. So that was just really good detailed information on the satisfaction.
Yes, that really kind of gets in depth about what specific things we need to look at.
So then what Deloitte does is they take 9 of the different parameters of those questions and create a business community health index. So there's another chart which is how each line represents a business in Nipawin. And so then they chart them all based on the answers that they give. And the national average, according to this chart, because Deloitte does this right across Canada, the national average for communities on this chart is 757.
Okay.
It's just a number. Nipawin scored 792. So we are working above the national average.
Excellent.
I said, so how do you get higher than 792? They said in all they've done, they've only ever had one community that scored higher than 800.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, tell me who they are. And they said, we can't tell you, but they're in the east. They're on the East Coast.
Okay.
So anyway, so 792.
So we are in a very good position there.
Yeah, relating to both provincial and national numbers.
Right.
Nipawin is above average.
Right.
As a business community index.
And this is, again, a tool for you to be able to use for incoming businesses, especially.
Business attraction.
Yeah.
Yes. My businesses are saying, and on the national scale, we're scoring higher than.
Yeah.
So just gives me more to talk about. Then they asked businesses about future plans. So this is also very important. So they were asked, in the next 24 months, do you will you be expanding? Are you succession planning? Downsizing, selling, closing, relocating? So I'm happy to say that 17 businesses responded that they will be expanding within the next 24 months.
Whew.
6 of those within the next 6 months. And if they've given me their name, I know who those businesses are. So then I can reach out to them, or maybe I know they've already been talking to them. But I can see if there's some supports that they need as they do this.
Maybe they're seeking where they can expand too.
Yes.
Like
or they're looking for more employees in order to up their production or whatever.
Or training programs or whatever.
Yes, all of those things. So 17 are expanding. 6 are looking at implementing a succession plan. 1's looking to downsize. 1's looking to sell. None are closing and none are relocating. Those are amazing numbers. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
This is a very happy page.
That makes me feel good.
Yes. But
I'll just make a note. My producer's telling me we're running short on time.
Okay.
I'm telling my producer we're going to keep going because we've got a lot to talk about yet.
We're getting there.
We're getting there, but we've got some stuff, so we're going to keep going.
Yes. All right. So moving on. The other thing that Deloitte provides, and this is kind of a business retention and expansion language, red flags and green flags.
Okay.
So red flags are businesses that may be facing a challenge of some sort.
Okay.
So they have said that they're downsizing, their lease is expiring. And so in my Excel spreadsheet of information, those ones are red.
Okay.
So I can find them. And then they also flag what we call green flags. So those that are looking to expand or other positive indications in the conversation that they had that may need follow-up from me as well.
Right.
So I have red flagged and green flagged businesses in my data so that I can support them based on what they've said.
And even the red flags, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just they may need some help to get through a particularly rocky patch to maybe find a new lease or whatever.
Or things might be a little bit more urgent if it's marked as a red flag, like their lease expires in less than 3 months.
So this is something you need to jump on.
So other things maybe I can touch
like the red flags might actually lead to a green outcome.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I like that. So those are all marked for me. And so 27 businesses, 17 had green flags and 10 had red flags.
Yeah.
For me to do follow-up. We're almost there. So, another question that they asked, I know who to reach out to at the town if I'm looking for support, growing my business, or navigating other business concern. So, I am happy to report that 36% somewhat agreed with that statement. And 49% strongly agreed with that statement. So 84% of people know who I am in business. Excellent. Which is really good. When I asked Deloitte about this, because I'm like, well, everybody should, they said typically it's not 84%, but maybe 50 or 60% of people actually know who to reach out to get economic development support.
So it means that you've sort of been really proactive in the community, I guess, about getting out there.
I don't know. I have a big mouth, Rrain. I don't know. But then the other side is also true. So 3% strongly disagreed and 13% somewhat disagreed. And I know who they are.
Exactly. So, you can reach out.
So then. I already did. I emailed them all and said, "Hi, I'm Marilyn."
That's the easiest first step.
That was an easy one to do for sure. And it just gave me that touch point for businesses that maybe, hadn't needed my services or, maybe they're new and they didn't know. But anyway, so this actually gave us a pretty good idea of the fact that there's strong interest in economic development in Nipawin and understanding what supports are available.
With the rate of growth that people seem to be anticipating over the next little while, you're definitely a key touchstone for a lot of that, I would think.
Get busy. Yeah. Yes.
As if it's not already.
Right, exactly. And then there's just a summary page that talks about the fact that Nipawin's businesses are highly content with doing business in Nipawin right now. Top 3 priorities: housing, childcare, and post-secondary. And the support and positivity in the businesses is only going to get better as the town works on these priorities. Right. So it's only going to move in a positive direction. And then there's specific things that I would do from my office, like reaching out to the red and green flags and those kinds of things. Just make sure that, like, this isn't a report that sits on the shelf, that this report actually provides me with specific activities that I can be working on week
There's
to
action
week
items coming out of this.
to make sure that I'm supporting the businesses in the way that they want to be supported. I know they don't want me knocking on their door every week. They got stuff to do.
But they have identified these are the things that...
Right. And they know how to get a hold of me if there is something that they need.
Yeah. And they understand what your role is, which I think for an economic development officer is not always, you can't always take that for granted, that people actually know what your role is in the community.
It's true. It's true. Or sometimes, they don't know I exist until they want to start a business, and then they're like, how do I get help? And I've been here for 5 years or whatever.
Exactly.
11, and they're like, oh, I didn't know what you did.
And it's not just about starting those businesses, but supporting those that we have, which is really what this was about.
Yes, for sure.
Is making sure that they so what comes next? We've done this report, we have this information, you're following up these things. Yes. What do we see coming down the road, a year, 5 years down the road?
So I'm not going to hire Deloitte every year to do another BRNE. That I don't think that's the best use of taxpayers' dollars. But there are other ways to do touch points with business. So one of them is called a business walk. So my plan for 2026 is to actually just pop in to a series of businesses locally with a set of questions. And it doesn't have to, like, maybe with chamber, maybe with council member want to come with me and just have conversation with the business owners. It would all be scheduled ahead.
Right.
And then it just supports the information. I'll ask similar questions, maybe not all of them. It's a little more shortened. Yeah. But just to be able to have those touch point with business and see if we're, from last year, what do you see? What's changed? What's new?
Yeah. Because you don't want to take it for granted that it's going to stay this rosy.
No, and I think that's so important. All it takes is one wrong tariff and it can change, although businesses seem quite optimistic. Yeah. Or a series of hiccups with outside factors that it can change trajectory for a business. So an annual business walk, and then maybe like once every 5 years do a little bit more fulsome study.
Yeah, get some more data
to make sure that these business walks in the middle are actually asking the right questions and reinforcing. So it's not like you go and you wait 5 years and all of a sudden the numbers have changed completely and you had no idea. So I think there's a way to do things to continue to make sure businesses feel supported without having to do a long survey every year.
I think one of the things we kind of joke in a smaller community that, if you do something wrong, you're going to hear about it, right? But sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you're in the community and people will pretend to your face that things are all going well. Sometimes you need that third party to come in and get this data from someone outside of the community, which I think the 5-year kind of, whether it's this or some other way of doing it, I think it's a good idea to
make sure, because they may not,
to get that bit of a long view on.
There's some things maybe they don't feel comfortable discussing in a public place, like or whatever. So we can provide different options to get the feedback from business.
Yeah. Well, that is fantastic. I'm really excited about this. I'm very glad that we were able to sit down and talk about the results, because when we first talked about it, we had no idea what's going to come of it. I think we felt fairly positively about it, but you just don't know what.
Yeah, because we've never done anything
because you've never
like
done
this.
it before.
So that's in itself is a positive step for NIPWA to, to take a moment to listen to business in a comprehensive way that only a study like this can do.
Any last thoughts on this project?
Nope. Thank you so much for giving me the chance to talk about it. It's an opportunity for the community to understand that our businesses are in a really positive space, and as always, shop local and keep our businesses
Apparently
going
we're good
strong.
at that.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And thank everyone out there for joining us on the program today. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you were enlightened, and we hope to see you again next time.